When I was fighting back against Lyme disease, this book, Unlocking Lyme, was such a game changer for me, and I loved every piece of it. Now, I'm not saying that it's 100% correct all the time, but there are so many ideas that I learned from this book that I love, and that really helped me get better from Lyme disease and heal my body from the inside out. And I'd love to talk to you about those ideas today. By the way, my name is Ryan Kearns. I had a serious heart infection with Lyme disease, and it was life-threatening for me. I thought I might die. My heart rate went down to 30 beats per minute. I got rushed to the doctor. I was fainting. I was sleeping 16 hours a day. Lyme disease really, really scared the crap out of me. And it changed the way that I look at my life in general. But the main thing that I learned was that you can heal using an all-natural method from Lyme disease. You don't need the antibiotics and the doctors and the treatments and the long-term antibiotics and the IVs and all of the nonsense. I actually healed completely using diet, herbs, and an all-natural approach that took everything into account, known as a holistic approach to healing. I'm talking about sleep, hydration, nutrition, herbs, meditation, stress reduction, negative people in my life. Every single area of my life was under a microscope, and I changed my entire lifestyle in order to heal from Lyme disease, and it worked. I was able to heal my heart within 12 months, and from then on, I started making content here on YouTube to share my journey with everyone else. And I also created LymeWars Herb Box, which is a box of herbs that I use to heal and that many other doctors and herbalists recommend for people with Lyme disease, so that I can get it out to the most people possible at an affordable price. In fact, it costs less than a can of Coke per day, because we were able to get the price low enough that everybody can afford this magical treatment. And I call it magical not because it works 100% of the time, and not because it's some unforeseen crazy thing that nobody knows about, but because it's just a powerful tool that I love, because it helped me take back my life and fight back against Lyme disease. Now, I know how it feels. I know what it feels like to not know if you'll ever be able to fight back, if you'll ever be able to take back your life and feel like yourself again, so that you can show up for your family in the way that they deserve, and so that you can be your best self. And I felt like that before, and that's why I did what I did. So Unlocking Lyme by Dr. Bill Rawls is a great book, and part 1 is called Understanding Lyme Disease. In it, he talks about Lyme disease being stealth microbes, which was something new that I hadn't heard before reading this book. Now, a stealth microbe is low in number and it's low virulence. So it's not like something like Ebola or like pneumonia even. It's very, which would mean it's very, virulent. It's able to be spread. It's very aggressive. This is not that. Lyme disease is actually the opposite. It's very low in number. It's low virulence. It can't really be spread very easily. It goes undetected and it goes unnoticed. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it goes undiagnosed for that reason. In this section of the book, Dr. Rawls also talks about Lyme disease being like a pot boiling over. And by that, he means that all chronic Lyme symptoms come from an immune system dysfunction. And so it comes from many different things all combining together until the pot bubbles up and starts to boil over, and then you start to get insane symptoms from Lyme disease. It's usually not just one thing, it's usually many things. And I can relate to that in a lot of ways with my Lyme disease journey, because I was at rock bottom. I was financially down in the dirt. I had lost my house, my job, my marriage was under a lot of stress. I was trying to build a business, but failing miserably. I had to move back in with my parents, which was extremely humiliating and embarrassing and stressful. And so all of these things were going wrong at the same time, while also my nutrition, my health, and everything else fell to the wayside. So everything kind of crumbled in on itself, and it was just like a pot boiling over, where I started to get those insane symptoms like fainting. If you've ever fainted, you know how scary that is, and to do it more than once within a month, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. Now, that is just one of the key takeaways that I took away from this section, but he really goes deep on understanding the Lyme microbes, how they act, how they respond, what they do inside the body, how they hide from the immune system, and how they're able to kind of live within humans without killing the host that they live in. They don't necessarily want to kill humans. They're just going for the ride, using us for the collagen and other nutrients that they need in order to survive and as a home to survive in until they get passed on to another host later down the road. So their job is not to kill us, but when you're fainting and your heart rate is dropping to 30 beats per minute, your brain says, something's wrong. I might die. Reading this book actually put me at ease a little bit, knowing that the microbe wasn't trying to just completely kill me. They need me to be alive in order for them to be alive. And so it's a kind of like a parasitic host relationship where they need me and I don't need them, but they need me to be alive. So that's part 1 of the book, and it's understanding Lyme disease. Part 2 is called gathering information. In this part of the book, Dr. Rawls writes about the quest for diagnosis and how difficult it can be for people to get a diagnosis. And the truth is that the longer you've had Lyme disease, the less likely it is that you can get a positive test result, which sounds crazy, but it's true. And it's also untrue in a sense that if you just got Lyme disease and you've only had it for like a week or 2, you'll probably get a negative test. However, if you've had it for a very long time, you'll probably also get a negative test. And so there's a window in between where you still have an acute infection. It's not chronic yet, but it's acute, but it's not chronic yet, but it's like a week in, a couple weeks in, that's the best time to get tested. And if you're not in that short window where the test will come back positive, then there's a likely chance you'll get a false negative, or even sometimes people get false positives, but I don't know if that's 100% true. False positives don't seem very likely considering we're dealing with a microbe that's just really prevalent and available all around the world. It's been around now for thousands and thousands of years. It knows how to survive. So if you get a positive test, there's a very high chance that you have Lyme disease. In this part of the book, Dr. Rawls also talks about how chronic immune system dysfunction needs to be present in order for chronic illness to occur. So in order for Lyme disease to continue going down the road, you need to have a dysfunctional immune system. And so that's bad news because you know that your immune system is not working the way that it should, but it's also good news because that means that there's things we can do about it to increase your immune system, things that you may not even think about, like increasing sleep, getting better nutrition, being more hydrated. There are things that we can do that don't necessarily involve expensive treatments or intervention from the medical system. And finally, this is where he starts to discuss the idea of a holistic approach to Lyme disease. The term holistic might make you think of headband-wearing hippies running around in a flower-filled field, but holistic really only means whole body. So everything as one large system, rather than reductionist, which is breaking every single system down into its tiny component parts. We want to look at this whole body as one system where each part affects the other parts as well. For example, if somebody has a problem in their stomach, that doesn't mean that we should just cut their stomach open and fix the problem, because the problem in their stomach might also be happening and spreading and affecting the heart, the blood, the brain. It could affect every area of the body, right? It's not that our body parts are just in silos the way that sometimes doctors and other reductionist thinkers like to share or believe. It's much more likely that all of our organs play an interconnected role with each other, constantly communicating back and forth, giving each other signals and sending signals throughout the whole body that then create an entire holistic system. Meaning that if we have a problem in the stomach, we can heal the gut, which will then heal the heart, heal the brain, heal the blood, heal the whole body, instead of thinking of it the other way around. That means that we should take larger picture approaches to the larger picture of our life and our body. And that's really the idea of the holistic approach to healing and a holistic approach to evaluating yourself to begin with, right? A lot of people try to evaluate Lyme disease like, is there a microbe in my body? Do I have the antibodies in my body? When in reality, we can look at it in terms of symptom sets and how we're feeling throughout the day, what we're eating each and every day, what our life looks like, what our lifestyle is, and how our body is acting throughout all of the different stages of our life in the different moments of our life. And to piggyback off the holistic approach, the next part is part 3, where it's therapies for getting well, right? And this is where he starts to talk about a holistic approach, not just to evaluating, like I was just talking about, but also a holistic approach to healing. So it's where we look at someone's habits, someone's lifestyle, and what they're actually doing on the day-to-day basis that's causing that pot to boil over, so that they maintain a positive environment for Lyme microbes in their life, rather than flipping the script and allowing for the body to fight back and heal itself the way that it knows how to. So he goes really deep on a holistic approach to healing the body from Lyme disease in part 3. Another thing that he starts to talk about as well at this point is antibiotics. Now, he is very interesting because he's one of the only other doctors that I've read that are very strictly against antibiotics in the sense of long-term antibiotics. He said there's basically no science to back up the use of long-term antibiotics in treating Lyme disease, and that just doesn't make much sense at all when he looks at the data. Now, there is time to use antibiotics, and that's in an acute infection right when you get bitten by a tick. Within 72 hours, if you're able to use antibiotics at that time, it's great, because the Lyme microbes are still in the blood, traveling through the body. They haven't penetrated into deep tissues, endothelial cells, heart muscle, brain muscle, etc. They're still just going through the blood at this point, so the antibiotics can actually take effect and kill the Lyme microbes, or do their part to start to harm the Lyme microbes so that our immune system can come in and clean out the rest. But if you have a longer-term chronic Lyme disease infection, using longer-term antibiotics is just not backed up by the science. There's no studies that show that this works, and there's no science to back it up. So a lot of doctors say we shouldn't be doing this. It just doesn't make sense. It weakens the immune system as it kills healthy bacteria in the body, and it has long-term negative effects. It's even led to deaths from killing so many bacteria in your gut microbiome that shouldn't be killed, because it leads to gut infections. In part 3, therapies for getting well, he finally then also brings up the herbs that he uses in order to get people well. And interestingly enough, he almost identically mirrors Stephen Booner's protocol, and that's the exact protocol that I use to heal my body as well. And that's the exact protocol that you can get inside the LymeWars Herb Box, where we've boxed up the top-selling herbs, which are Japanese knotweed, cat's claw, and Andrographis, packaged in a neat little box sent directly to your house so that you can heal Lyme disease from the inside out. If you're interested in that, go to LymeDiseaseWars.com. When you go to LymeDiseaseWars.com, you'll get your box of LymeWars herbs sent directly to your house. And inside, we have an amazing array of herbs that are meant specifically for healing from Lyme disease. And the really cool part is there's no fillers, no fluff, no added BS. It's just the active ingredients that will help you heal from Lyme disease. So we have LymeWars Andrographis, extremely powerful stuff. It actually helps restore the gut and the gut balance, which is the opposite of what antibiotics do, but it's also an anti-spirochetal, meaning it will kill Lyme microbes. We also have Japanese knotweed, which is loaded with something called resveratrol. In this case, it's actually trans-resveratrol, which is the more bioactive form. Don't want to get too nerdy on you, but what it does is it allows for better blood flow, dilating the blood vessels. It allows for the body to get the blood moving, and it also is able to penetrate through the blood-brain barrier, so it can protect your central nervous system, protect your heart, protect your brain, and make sure that there's no damage done from the Lyme microbes in those extremely vital areas. And the final thing is LymeWars Cat's Claw, which is really meant for immune modulating, but it's also just an antibacterial and anti-inflammatory, and it's just a powerful immune modulating herb that helps kick the immune system up a notch. Or if your immune system's being too active, it will actually dampen the immune system down, so you don't have those crazy autoimmune effects of your body attacking itself. So it helps you control your immune system and use it the way that it's supposed to be used. That's cat's claw bark from the Amazon jungle. So those are the 3 herbs in the LymeWars Herb Box. If you're interested in getting these for yourself, in the extra little goodies that I know you just saw me put on top of the box. Go to LymeDiseaseWars.com and you can get your box today. We have so many people that have been getting these, and last time, we sold out in 7 days because people have been loving these, and a lot of people sign up for them. They get them on subscription, so they're getting them, sent to their house every single month. They never have to think about herbs again. They just open their front door and the herbs are there, and they take them, and then they start to get better from Lyme disease, which is awesome. And we have a few people that have actually given us positive reviews, like this person who said that they used the herbs and saw crazy, amazing results. And this other person who said that he still uses the herbs to this day. And I personally still use herbs to this day, even though I haven't had any Lyme disease symptoms in over 5 years. So that's part 3 of Unlocking Lyme, is where Dr. Rawls goes deep into, all of the holistic approach to getting well, everything we can do in order to heal the body from the inside out, including my favorite topic, which is using herbs. They helped me. They saved my life, and I just want to share that with as many people as possible. And finally, there's part 4, which is essential support. And in essential support, Dr. Rawls writes about the mindset for getting well and what it takes to think about Lyme disease. Now, it can be an extreme roller coaster of emotions that we go through from the moment we get Lyme disease to the moment we get better. And some people are on that roller coaster for a very, very long time. And it's very difficult. I don't want to downplay it at all. I understand how insane some people have it. I've heard the craziest stories of people's lives, that the struggles that they went through and their family has gone through since they've had Lyme disease is astronomical, out of this world, and completely unfair and unjust. But there's a certain mindset that we can bring in to healing that will help us heal from the inside out. And one of the things that's really important to realize is that the best way to heal is to support the immune system in the best way that we possibly can. And the best way to support the immune system is by using herbs. And the reason for that is because herbs are very high in something called phytochemicals or phytonutrients that we just don't get in our diet in the amounts that we used to get back, our ancestors in cavemen days. And now today, we're just lacking in these vital phytonutrients, but we can get them from herbs. And they will help us fight back against microbes, against inflammation, and increase our immune system so that we can fight back against any type of illness, including Lyme disease. But a lot of these herbs have actually been tested in the fight against COVID-19. These herbs are not just specifically for Lyme disease, it's just that they work really well for people with Lyme disease. So again, we want to focus heavily on restoring that immune function. But in this section, he also goes on to talk about heavy metal toxicity, mold and mycotoxins, and other toxins that we're constantly exposed to and that our body, kind of absorbs and ends up taking on over the years. And this comes from things like just having mold in your house, or going through a moldy patch in someone else's house, or going in a moldy basement every now and then. You can breathe in those mold spores and it can cause a lot of problems. Heavy metals are a much bigger problem than most people realize. So we need to do whatever we can to detox heavy metals out of the body and find out if we're dealing with heavy metal toxicity. There's tests that we can do to figure that out, including a hair follicle test, and some saliva tests can help us test for heavy metal toxicity, and that will allow us to take action against the things that are holding our body back from healing. You see, sometimes it's not just the Lyme microbes. It could be co-infections, it could be mold toxicity, it could be heavy metals, or it could be other toxins that have made their way into our body that we need to take all of these things into account while we're trying to heal from the inside out. And that all goes back to the idea of a holistic approach to healing from Lyme disease, which is something I believe in through and through until the end of time. That unless someone proves me wrong in the meantime, right now, this is 100% what I believe. No matter what kind of illness I get, I believe in a holistic approach. I believe in an approach that takes every area of life into account, and especially things like nutrition and sleep and hydration and the use of very simple compounds like herbs. And finally, one of the last chapters in the book, Unlocking Lyme by Dr. Bill Rawls, he talks about exercise and that you must move the body to get well. Now, for some people, that's going to mean going for a walk around the block, right? For other people, they may be able to push it a little bit more. It's going to depend on what you are comfortable doing with your Lyme disease. Now, some people say that they can't exercise because they have Lyme disease, and I understand the point of view, but I don't necessarily agree with it. I think there's always a way where you can move your body, even if you're laying in bed and just kicking your legs up in the air like this, or lifting your legs up slowly, putting them down. That is moving your body. The worst thing you could do is stay completely still and not allow your blood to flow or get to all of the different parts of your body while you're dealing with an infection, so that when the blood is flowing, you're able to actually recycle out the materials and open up the different detoxification pathways, so you're not constantly dealing with a microbial load. Even if your immune system is doing a good job of killing the Lyme microbes, you still have to be able to transport those dead microbes out of the body. And if you can't, you're going to have things like Herxheimer reactions, or maybe they can even, there's been science that shows that the microbes, when they're broken down into little pieces, they can actually rebuild themselves and regenerate. You might get relapsing symptoms. So it's just really important to constantly move the body so you can make sure that your body stays open, the blood stays flowing, and you keep moving. If you want to heal, move your body. So that's all of the things that I've learned from Unlocking Lyme by Dr. Bill Rawls. Overall, great book, highly recommend it. And I hope this video was a good summary for you to get started. And if you want to heal from Lyme disease, I suggest going to LymeDiseaseWars.com. You can get our free ebook where we give you our top 5 tips for healing from Lyme disease, and you can get our LymeWars Herb Box so that you can start healing from Lyme disease from the inside out. I hope this video helps you out, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.